just go down to the right. So if you would proceed, Colonel.
You could hit that button.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. What I would like to do is make a relatively short presentation focusing on just 3 points, some of which will echo some of the comments that have already been made. First, I think it's important that whatever course of action the Bush administration decides to follow in Iraq, it should not pretend under any circumstances that a major U.S. defense commitment, internal and external to Iraq, is a matter for resolution inside a status of forces agreement. A status of forces agreement exists preeminently to protect the legal rights of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines permanently stationed on foreign soil in a country that is hosting a permanent or semi-permanent U.S. military presence. It also is, from the vantage point of those of us who were soldiers, and I might add here that I served for 8 years of my 28-year career outside of the United States, 6 of those in Germany and 2 of those in Belgium, and so I frequently interacted with German federal authorities for a whole range of reasons. I can tell you that the Status of Forces Agreement not only protects U.S. forces, but it creates a framework through which we then can communicate with the local citizenry and its government to ensure that whatever conflicts do arise are quickly resolved. But there is no language, as far as I am aware, in either the Korean SOFA or the German SOFA, which to my knowledge are the most important given the numbers of forces involved, that stipulate when, where, or how U.S. military power will be employed against either external or internal enemies. Those things are normally reserved for treaties involving mutual defense. And the SOFA itself, in its legal basis, flows from mutual defense treaties in both Germany and Korea. The second point is that I think any elected official contemplating the commitment of U.S. forces to the survival of a government like Iraq's, a government that already confronts powerful armed opposition inside its own borders, should recognize the potential damage that the government's reliance on U.S. military power would cause its legitimacy. The best strategy for the United States, in my view, is to stay out of Iraq's internal conflict until that is resolved and a new legitimate Iraqi leadership emerges without direct U.S. military support. And finally, an open-ended pledge by the United States government to commit its military establishment to the defense of the Iraqi government in Baghdad against internal enemies on the grounds that the United States is defending, quote-unquote, a democratic system, something that I think is at least misleading, if not fundamentally untrue, seems to me uncomfortably close to the old Soviet notion of defending socialism in Central East Europe inside the Warsaw Pact, which ultimately was an excuse for intervention to prop up unwanted communist regimes in Central and Eastern Europe. So those are the 3 basic points that I wanted to make, and I'll now yield to my distinguished fellow witnesses.